Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. My name's Andrew Connors. I'm a managing director here at Fairport Wealth, and this is this month's edition of the Minding Your Business newsletter. And this is a newsletter our practice group puts out for business owners, entrepreneurs, family business owners, and the advisors you work with. And so, what we wanted to chat about today is what I kind of frankly see as one of the hidden challenges that business owners often face and deal with, and they kind of deal with it in silence. And it has nothing to do with supply chains, culture, or anything along those lines. What it has to do with is this: we work with a lot of business owners, and a lot of business owners start out in their entrepreneurial journey somewhere around being middle or maybe even upper middle class. But at some point, their business continues to thrive. They maybe have a liquidity event, and their middle class roots are still very much intact, but they find themselves in a high net worth or even ultra high net worth financial and call it success landscape. And so the question that really keeps these business owners and individuals up at night is, how does this wealth that I was not brought up with, but my family now has grown accustomed to, impact the next generation? How does it impact my kids? How do I talk to my kids about wealth? And how do I not create, call it an entitled generation? And so that is the, call it dilemma, that I see a lot of business owners face these days. And so oftentimes we'll have meetings with these families, and we might have a meal afterwards and talk about personal issues. And this is the topic that often always comes up. And this is the topic they struggle with the most, because who do you talk to about these issues? And talking about wealth is important, but it's also a taboo topic. 60% of wealth transfers to next generations fail, and they often fail because of lack of communication and lack of trust. And so what I wanted to chat about was, when I think of the families that we work with who are role models, families who've experienced financial success, but frankly, more importantly, personal and family success, what are the commandments, for lack of a better word, that they use to help drive discussions? So what I wanted to talk about, what are the 10 commandments of family wealth discussions? So jumping into these, first of all, commandment 1, successful families talk about family history. When you talk about history, you give context and perspective to, as a family, how did we get here? Where were we? What did our journey look like? Oftentimes, those succeeding generations were not there at the beginning, so they don't know what that journey looks like. They've only been there for the part of the journey where it seemed to be easy and sunny skies. Second commandment you want to talk about, family values. And, this is a word I think gets thrown around a lot, but ultimately, what is a value? A value is a belief system or beliefs that you as a family feel define how you live your lives, how you approach work, how you approach life. And so when you codify what your family values are, that acts as an anchor for stability for your family. And communicating this across the family is also important. I think it's important, commandment number 3, to discuss the opportunities and challenges that come with wealth. The next generation, oftentimes, all they're aware of and all they see are the benefits that wealth provides. They are not necessarily always privy to the challenges that it provides. So informing the next generation and reminding them and telling them through storytelling and sharing examples of experiences that you've had in your life, what those obstacles can be like and the challenges that you've had to face as a creator of wealth and as of a successful business, how you've handled those. Commandment number 4, talk about inheritance plans. So in the absence of communication, individuals will come up with and draw their own conclusions. So if the next generation is of the mindset that, hey, we're really successful, I'm going to inherit a lot of money from my parents one day, and you have not indicated to them otherwise, this is going to create a huge challenge amongst that next generation. And that is something that is easily avoidable. It doesn't mean you have to lift up the financial hood and tell them about every dollar that comprises your family's net worth. but starting to let them know over periods of time about what your plans are, what goes to philanthropy, what goes to the family, and so on is really important. Commandment number 5, and it's a simple one, and it's one that I think is important, the commandment of privacy. Keep the family's business as family business. It is not meant to be public business. I think be careful about what you share, because once you put it out there into the community, into the world, and with the family, you can't take it back. Commandment number 6, share your thoughts around philanthropy with your family. I always like to say the family that gives together stays together. Families, often successful families, a unifying factor is through various charitable vehicles, they pursue philanthropic causes together as a family unit. And it's important to identify what those causes are, and that helps become a unifying force really for the family, is supporting those causes. Commandment number 7, leverage outside advisors, whether that be your wealth manager, your attorney, your CPA. These are individuals that can help you think of and help drive best practices around family wealth discussions. And when we think about these discussions and these commandments, these are not just like one-off conversations or one-off events. They are ongoing. And education as part of that communication is always ongoing. And education is really about how do you teach that next generation to become good stewards of that wealth. That's really important to think about. And I think that's an area oftentimes we see families struggle with because it's an easy one to avoid. But educating the next generation about what it means to be a responsible wealth manager, wealth creator, wealth steward of wealth. So, next commandment, commandment number 9, hold family meetings. And so family meetings are important because they provide an opportunity when you have everyone in your family together to talk about, for example, values, philanthropy, things that are important to the family. Oftentimes, when I use a word like family meetings, as business owners, you might be thinking, oh, this is something that requires a tremendous amount of planning, a big agenda. I have to get a lot of different parties involved. And I'm not going to say that's not involved. However, that's not where you have to start. Small steps are baby steps are steps too. As long as you're making progress in terms of communication, that's the priority. And so when you think about a family meeting, an example I just used recently with a client who was having a big special dinner, all of his kids were coming in town for a family event. And I said, when you're having this family dinner, think of that as an opportunity to have a family meeting. And it might be just 5 minutes in the middle of that family meeting where you and your wife share about the gratitude that you have, about what's important to you, about what family means. It's not a conversation about wealth. The most successful families, the conversations are about the values, the sense of gratitude that drive that family. And doing planned and sometimes unplanned family meetings in small ways can be great drivers around that. And the last commandment, good communication. And good communication goes beyond, call it a family meeting, which is equally important. But good communication means being deliberate about having a plan. You probably have a plan for managing your investments, managing your taxes. You have an estate plan. Do you have a plan for how you are going to communicate a lot of the points that I just highlighted in these commandments to your family? And how deliberate are you in executing that plan? And again, this may seem daunting, it may seem complicated. Baby steps are steps too. Starting out with simple concepts, simple wins, I think is a great way to start reinforce a lot of these ideas so that you develop good habits of communication around wealth with your family so that next generation ends up having a perspective on wealth that is what you would want them to have. And so going back to the original challenge, how do you as a successful business owner create a great wealth mindset in your next generation, a sense of gratitude, a sense of appreciation, and not call it a sense of entitlement. And I think these are foundational best practices to help in that process. So hopefully I've given you a couple ideas to think about. I know it might be a lot. If you'd love to chat about it, call somebody who's part of your team. And also, we're always here to be a resource as well. This is something obviously we have quite a bit of experience in. So take care.